For those of you who are tuning in, you just had a special treat here. This was Michael Fitzpatrick doing what he does best. You're tuning the planet. When you say that, what does that mean?
If you go to places in nature in particular um, that you have an affinity for and you actually sit and play,
Right.
then you get in tune. Sometimes you get the sense that the animals, the the winds, the trees are listening, if you will. So tuning the planet originally came from that genesis after having spent 6 days with the Dalai Lama in a remote monastery in the middle of nowhere. The tuning the planet moniker became much more specific in that we were intent on going in there to tune in and to tune back.
Let's talk about the journey. I mean, you played with the Dalai Lama, you played with the Pope. So tell us about some of those things.
I learned through friends that the Dalai Lama was coming to spend 6 days at this remote monastery in Kentucky for this, what turned out to be an historic summit of Eastern and Western monks and nuns who were coming together to try and find not only common ground, but a common compassion, if you will. And when he came into the room, it was a presence unlike anything I'd ever felt before. It was deep. And then I played into that space for 6 days and ended up sitting literally right next to him for the final closing tribute. And, you know, it was totally surreal. And then his people and the Vatican's people who were co-producing the summit said, we think the music is so powerful that it can transmit this compassionate consciousness, which got forged during those 6 days. Okay. So I thought, wait a second, I think I've just been commissioned to produce the world premiere CD of the Dalai Lama. Where would you do something like that? And I thought, well, you can't do it in a studio in New York City. Where would you? And then this image flashed in my mind of Mammoth Cave, which is in Kentucky. It's the largest cave system in the world. I thought, well, that would be incredible. The acoustics would be great.
Right.
The visuals would be great, be very cinematic, and couldn't be that big of a deal to get the cave, I thought. So I pitched it. They said, let's do it. It ended up taking 3 years to make it happen when it was supposed to be 9 months. And I learned all kinds of things about how you write a letter to the private office of His Holiness the Dalai Lama in Dharamsala, India, how you write a letter to the offices of the Vatican. From that, once the album came out, it was called Compassion, all these doors started opening. Hollywood doors, Washington, D.C. doors. And over the years, it led me to playing for the Pope at the Vatican.
What was that like, Michael?
Well, it was, as John Lennon said, it's all showbiz. So, you know, you get there, you get to the venue. It's quite a venue. And, you know, you're mindful of the magnitude of the role that the Pope plays. I didn't, again, have any experience with him, but I had, at that point, 16 years of being around the world with the Dalai Lama. So I had an understanding of what protocols were like and what it was like when you encounter a being like the Dalai Lama or the Pope.
Right. I want to throw some pictures up, and why don't you tell us what we're looking at here?
Yeah.
So this is from His Holiness the Dalai Lama.
Yes. So this is in Louisville, Kentucky. It's in 2013. And that stunning backdrop that you see is real. It's a section of this 120-foot Buddha tapestry that they had hung behind him. That was really quite stunning. This is the first time that the Dalai Lama has heard or seen me playing the electric cello.
The next picture I'm bringing up is United Nations International Day of Peace. When was this?
That was in Times Square the year before last.
So 2021.
2021. Yeah.
So Sir Ringo Starr,
Right.
Sir
So
Paul McCartney.
they came in live via satellite. The piece that I played as the keynote for all the events with the Dalai Lama is titled Invocation of the Earth, which is what came out of the cave. That was the first music that got born.
So as we're talking about this is your newest recording, newest release, correct?
Yep.
And I'm going to let people know how they can pick up a copy of this. I'm putting a QR code here. Take your phones out, guys, and just scan it. And it will take you over to the page that has all of this on it. There's also a link in the comments. So tell us about this album.
It came out in July of this year. It was a specifically commissioned suite of music designed in a therapeutic clinical setting for people suffering from PTSD, anxiety, grief, mental health challenges,
Right.
stress, the stuff of modern life. Steve Hurst, who was the benefactor that approached me, I met him at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when I played there years ago, and he told me he was launching this company and that he had an idea for some music. The more he described what it was he was looking for, the more I thought, I know the guys that I can put this together with. The three guys on the right are buddies of mine from Kentucky that I have not been in touch with or played music with in 30 years.
Wow.
They're all sonic geniuses.
Wow.
And they got the vibe. So I just called them up and I'm like, this is what it is. Are you interested? Right. Then I called my LA guys, CJ and Ben, and said, this is what it is. Are you interested? And then I lined up all the sessions and this music started pouring in. We were being carried by it. In the 3 weeks that we mixed it down, I made one comment. And it was
that perfect. Is that what you're saying?
Perfect. Right.
Wow.
And, with a little bit of trepidation, I brought it to Rob and I said, how does it sound? Right. Above and beyond, what do you think about it? How does it sound?
Right.
And he said, it sounds great. He goes, wait till I'm done with it. Okay. So what happens when you put it on is you go into the same really peaceful, calm state that we were in when we were recording it, which makes total sense. It locks you into that, into that frequency. Yeah.
I can't wait to listen to it. Go ahead and scan this. And first of all, the website is beautiful. So there's a lot of different things there that you can find information about who and what you do. I listened to what you said, and you sent me a bunch of notes, and you talk about mental health and PTSD and anxiety. And this is such an important topic. So many people, I don't think I know a single person that is not suffering from some sort of anxiety based upon what's going on in our world. And music is so important. I've always said that music is the universal language and that it speaks to those who might not otherwise understand, hear, or even comprehend, because you don't have to know the language. You don't have to know the words. It's the melody itself. How do you feel about that?
This business of tuning, of taking oneself outside of the fray of the increasingly chaotic world we're in crisis, right? I mean, that's just the reality.
Yeah.
We're in a global crisis. People are freaked out. Nobody knows what to say. People are scared to say stuff.
Right.
And few people know what to do or what can I do? How can I help? Right.
Well, you're doing your part, Michael. You've played Hollywood Bowl, Times Square. You've played for His Majesty King Abdullah II at the Royal Palace in Jordan and with the Jerusalem Symphony Orchestra in Jerusalem. Why don't you tell us what's happening next year in June?
June 6th, 2024 is the 80th anniversary of D-Day. So part of what's happening with the healing music on the ramp to the 80th is to now begin to take it into the front lines of the hospitals, by the bedsides, to the veterans, into the hospice, elderly care facilities, because that's where it can make an immediate impact.
For those who are figuring out they need to know you more, go and visit Michael at his website, michaelfitzpatrick.com. You can also visit him on his Facebook page at Michael Fitzpatrick Cello, and on Instagram at Tuning the Planet. And finally, go pick yourself up a copy of this. We'd love to hear what you say. And again, if you just want to QR it, do that, because that's much more fun, I think. I want to thank you, Michael. I mean, your music, obviously, it has touched people around the world. That is where you go, and you continue to go. So, Michael, thank you, thank you, thank you. Go out and do good.